Yeah, let's start. Today I'm here with Jens. We are at Make It, the Java conference, and to be honest, like I was working in a hall, and I was like, "Hey Jens, do you want to talk with me about Oracle products?" And you were like, "I'm not super in the Oracle ecosystem," and then we chatted a bit, and so I'm not a Java programmer. I studied electrical engineering. I then went into Python because in 2008 everybody was like, Python is so cool, Ruby is that, and I never picked up anything about Java except fixing Jenkins null pointer exceptions. That was my specialty. So yeah, today we will talk about a bit about licensing, releases, and the different distributions. So maybe Jens, if you can introduce yourself in a few minutes.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jens Knipper. I'm working for OpenValue in Germany, and we do a lot of contracting and consulting, mostly in the Java space. And yeah, we also do like trainings, and what we do a lot recently is migrating away from Oracle Java to Azure Java. So we still have to do stuff with Oracle, but it's like going away from it. So yeah.
So like the reason is like you need to pay a license for the Oracle distribution, I guess, or
yeah. So there's like companies like insurances and banks and stuff like this. They actually are required by law to have licenses of the software they use. And yeah, Oracle recently, I think a year ago or something, changed their licensing model. And the costs are so much higher, like 10x, 100x or something for the companies, that they actually want to get away from Oracle as fast as possible.
So like with that license, you get like enterprise support, or and if you move somewhere to a different, I guess, distribution, then you offer that support, or how does that work?
So we don't offer that support.
Okay.
We don't have our own Java distribution, but there's other vendors like Azul, Liberica, even most, like all of the cloud providers usually have their own JDK. You could actually use that one. And what we usually migrate to is Azul, because they offer really kind of long extended support, and they also backport fixes from other versions to the older versions. So they do really know what they're doing, and they're doing a good job.
Nice. So like back in the days, I was just aware that there's like open something Java, and then you had the enterprise something Java, and when you installed it in Debian, you need to know, and there was something switch. And how is the ecosystem now? Like what do we have on offer?
Yeah, there used to be like an OpenJDK, a build of the OpenJDK even, and one of Java Enterprise, Java EE. That actually changed a lot in the last years. So there's no official build of the OpenJDK anymore. There is the OpenJDK, but there is no build of it. You can use, for example, like the Oracle JDK, there's build, or like one of the other distributions. And so what usually happens is like Oracle develops on the OpenJDK. They then release it at a certain point, and then all the distributors go and build their own version of it. And then you can actually use it. But the OpenJDK itself, there's no official build of it anymore.
I see. So it's basically just the code, but there is no build.
No, exactly.
Okay. Super interesting. But like, what are the exact differences? Is it like, okay, how it's built, I guess? Which platforms do they support? Which fixes do they backport? What are then the differences?
So they usually differ in like a few things, like updates, like compliance. So there's like a compliance kit, which you actually have to run and to verify that you're compliant. Then there's things like certain features with performance, stuff like this. And so they all might differ a little. So there's distributions which only build like long-term support distributions and not the short-term ones. Or, for example, Azul has like a high-performance JVM, Azul Platform Prime, it's called, I think, which has its own garbage collector and compiler. And it's optimized for huge applications with the huge heaps and stuff like this.
Okay. So when you say it needs to run the compliance kit, does that mean that there is like a Java language reference and this compliance kit checks if you're compliant to that reference or something else?
Exactly. There's like the Java language specification, and this specification might get altered and stuff like this. And the compliance kit actually tests also different things, like certain things might be different on different operating systems or architectures or something like this. And this is actually tested as well.
Okay, so if you have a distribution, you need also to support different arches, so different platforms. It's a must, right?
Yeah. So the Java slogan used to be like compile runs, run everywhere, and it's because like you compile bytecode to run on the JVM, and so if you do like a JDK, there's the JVM in there, and the JVM must be like architecture specific, right?
I see. But what are then the challenges, like if you migrate from one distribution to another? If it's like, what's the catch? Like, is it like performance if you migrate something from one thing to another, or what are the pitfalls that...
So usually migrating is kind of easy. It's just swapping out the JDK running there, or the JVM. So the Java JREs, it's then when you don't need a JDK. But usually clients have a long list of applications running. So it can be like 10,000 or 100,000 of JVMs running on their servers, especially when they have clouds or like virtual machines, thin clients. So usually like every desktop out there maybe has a few JDKs somewhere. And just getting them and looking which one are actually might be compliant to the new license model or not, it is a lot of work actually.
I see. So it's like managing the inventory of the systems that you don't know that they exist and getting them migrated, planning around that. Okay, I see. But otherwise, if you're in the same major version, then everything should be the same, right?
Mostly, yeah. So the distribution might differ a little. So for example, if you use Amazon Corretto, it has things like snap start in there, which might make your cold start times a little smaller. Or some JDKs also bundle things like JavaFX, which is usually not included anymore. And yeah, stuff like this might differ a little. And you have to so usually things will work if you switch, but usually these are also like they say like, hey, this is, I don't know, Azul FX or Liberica FX where JavaFX is bundled with it. So it's usually you can see that it's there's a different feature in there as well.
Were there like any major like performance screw ups that totally screw it up? Like you migrated something to somewhere and then there was like an actual impact on the application itself, where you would say, hey, we changed that implementation, maybe garbage collection, whatever, and it then was an issue?
So I'm not aware of it actually, but I think the garbage compiler is still the same since Java 8. I'm not sure.
Okay, that's a long time ago.
But it's actually changing, and so in the future it might change. But usually you can actually just say during the time the JVM actually got faster, and if you migrate to a new version, usually you get the better performance.
Yeah, I see.
But yeah, it's generally speaking, it's
yeah. Awesome. Yeah, that sounds like fun. We migrate. So the Python ecosystem switched from 2 to 3. So that was a funny thing.
It still is.
Yeah, it still is. That's it's not. I think it's dead for now 5 years at least. But I still know some companies that patch official distribution tooling to get down the 2.7 packages, so that can be pretty tricky. So yeah, here I guess you don't have like issues like that.
Usually, like most of the Java stuff is compliant to the older versions. So usually when you migrate, you can be sure that your code is still running, even compiling in the first place and then running.
Do you also do like migrations in your consultancy between the versions themselves? Because I guess then there you need to be cautious of some stuff, or
so usually Java is backwards compatible. If you use some internal stuff,
things that you really shouldn't use, right?
And also one thing that happened recently, or in the past few years, is that Java EE is not maintained by Oracle anymore. So it's now called Jakarta EE, and there was actually a name change in there. So if you did like import on JavaX or something like this, you actually have to change it now. And this is actually a bigger issue, because if you use, I don't know, Spring or something, for example, and you upgrade to a new version, then you also have to upgrade all the JavaX stuff to Jakarta EE.
Who is now maintaining the Enterprise Edition?
I think it's a foundation or something. Yeah.
A foundation is maintaining an enterprise thing. Yeah. That's really odd.
I don't know if it's under Eclipse or something. I'm not really sure, but it's community driven now.
Like the different distribution offer like also like licensing, or are all the other distributions like more open source, more liberal licensed? I mean, like, can I, if I'm compliant to the spec and I make a build, of course I can then offer, right?
You could offer your own distribution, yeah.
Yeah, and say we have, I don't know, 5 minutes of support, if that's okay with you. You pay big bucks.
And ask for a lot of money for it if you want it.
Because we offer professional support, right? But it's very limited.
So there's like companies which give it away for free, like Amazon does it with their Corrado, Microsoft does it. But for example, Azul has a free JDK, and also like this Platform Prime, which is an enterprise JDK where you have to pay for. Or if you want like extended support, so you want support for an old Java version for longer than the official
like
support is.
Extended support.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I see.
And then you also have to pay.
Is the Java 8 still supported, or is it extended?
It's still a support, yeah, but I think it's running out in a few years.
Ooh.
And Java 11 even shortly after.
So there will be a lot of work for you then, because 8, I guess, is pretty popular, right?
Yeah, 8 is still pretty popular, especially like in big companies, government, stuff like this. It's going to be a lot of work there. Because usually at some point you also have to upgrade your dependencies, and then you get into this Java EE, Jakarta EE change.
I see.
That's going to be a lot of work, yeah.
Nice. You mentioned like startup times before, that there are some features that shorten that. Do you see like a lot of Java also in Lambda functions, cloud functions? Is that a thing now?
Yeah, it's totally also a thing. For example, on Amazon, you have these Lambdas, they're called, the serverless functions. And you could actually either use the runtime of Amazon with their JDK and use Snapstart. And what Snapstart actually does, it more or less takes like a snapshot after your startup and loads it in at startup time. So it's then certain things are loaded and they don't have to be rebuilt or whatever. And it actually cuts down the startup time a little.
So basically, like they take a snapshot of the internal state of the JVM, I guess. Yeah. And that's crazy.
Yeah. And another approach would actually be to use like ahead of time compilation with GraalVM. And that way you can actually compile your Java code to native code, like binary code, and just run that one. And then you get really, really great startup times.
Interesting.
And then you don't have to run a JVM anymore in there.
So you can bundle it together in a ELF or whatever, like XC, whatever.
Yeah, it's just a binary file, like Linux binary, which you can just execute.
Awesome. Is there like any other crazy stuff that you do or I miss? Because I don't know much about that ecosystem. Like, is there like an important topic now regarding like all these licenses and stuff?
So the release model actually changed. And so like before Java 8 and including Java 8, in new release, they actually said like an amount of stuff that should be included in the new version. And they waited until all the features were complete. And it might take a few years even.
I see.
And what they do now is just they set a date. They release every half a year. And they just pick the features that are ready then.
Yeah, stable, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And it actually makes the release process a lot better, and features get delivered a lot faster. So yeah, that's a really nice thing, because to be honest, Java had like the image to be a little dusty, maybe a little verbose or whatever, but it actually changed a lot, and there's a lot of new features would actually make, I think, life at least a little better.
So that then also means that at that date they also freeze the spec, I guess, because then they know what it needs to be in to be compliant, right?
Sorry?
Like if there is a new feature and then they say, hey, okay, this will go in because it's now stable. Let's say, I don't know, is it half year?
Yeah.
Release cycle, like mid-year 2005. Then they say like, okay, this feature will now go in. We will also freeze the spec, because I guess that then every distribution needs to be compliant to that spec again, or...
So like usually how it works is, they create a new version, and usually the new features are in preview mode and you don't have them right away. You have to add like a flag, enable preview to actually run it. And then you can work with it. And it usually stays in preview a few iterations until it gets officially released. And then you can use it. And they usually like gather feedback and work it in. And it's usually quite well thought of, like really.
So it usually works. It's just like final confirmation.
Yeah, and usually like all the edge cases are really well thought through. And usually what happens when they gather like feedback in the next iteration, they add maybe like some syntactic sugar, like nice to have things to it, which make it easier to use.
Over the recent years, like when I talk like to more junior folks or folks out of the university, nobody is getting like super exciting about Java. I think it's like more like TypeScript or JavaScript or whatever the new bus is. Currently it's this. Like, how do you see like Java? Is it even important that it's like attractive to newer folks with all those features, or like what's the ecosystems? Because here we are, of course, at the Java conference, like everybody is slightly grayer and more bearded than usual conferences when you walk around. Like I would say that the mean age is probably more around 30 to 40. Like how do you see like the future of the ecosystem?
Yeah, so Java is kind of old. I think this year has its 30th birthday. So the hype train is over, I think.
Yeah.
You can say that now. But yeah, still, it's one thing might actually be lots of folks learn or they have to learn Java in university or whatever, and maybe are attracted to newer stuff.
Yeah.
But
like a PTSD from the university,
yeah,
just want to run away.
And but also like, I think it's kind of good to know like the hype phase is over, and it's just like, yeah, Java is good. It's solid to use. It's running for 30 years now, so you can like still run 30 years old Java programs. It's a solid programming language. It's still, you get nice new features. And yeah, I think it lost a lot of attractivity during the time before the new release model. That's also the time where things like Kotlin, Scala, Groovy, and stuff like this popped up and were like the hype things in the JVM landscape. But I think Java has like really great tooling, like a huge ecosystem of things you can use, and that's actually what makes it special. Yeah.
What are the usual stacks that you are migrating? I know that this might sound silly, but I guess it's not like in Go when you just say, okay, we have these native functions and we build a web server. I guess that there are some frameworks around them, some of them like more corporate, maybe with a license, and some are more open spirit. Is it like web applications that you're migrating, like backend applications?
So sometimes it's super old applications even.
Okay, is that like native, basically Java code without much libraries?
It's still
around?
things like applets and stuff like this.
Applets, okay. So the things that were running in browsers, but they don't.
Or things like WebStart and stuff like this. Yeah.
Web what?
WebStart.
What is it?
It used to be some kind of dependency to also. I haven't used it actually. But,
so really crazy old stuff.
It's
like
old stuff. And
like if you can't really design if you are doing a forensic analysis or if you are digging out some treasures from like an adventure like Lara Croft.
It's like digging in tombs.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but I'm usually like my day job usually is being a developer, and it's like. We just do these migrations just aside.
If I decided like to, let's say, build a web app in Java, like what would be a stack for me? I maybe have like 100 euros for an IDE. I can't afford like super advanced frameworks that would require either a license for development environments or like for runtime. I don't know what the licensing is with those.
So you can get started for free. So like usually you can get started with the community build of the JDK, like Adoptium. I think it's Adoptium from the Eclipse Foundation. Tamarind is called. Use IntelliJ, the free version. Get started building stuff, and then it depends on what you want to do. Do you want to have a CLI application,
like a web? Should I use
web app?
Spring?
Okay. You could use Spring, for example. Spring is usually also free. And so it's free to use. You can just get started, write your application. But there's also alternatives to Spring. So Spring is like the big thing that mostly everyone uses. But in the last years, things like Quarkus, Micronaut. I think there's also like Helidon, things like this actually also popped up, which are a valid alternative actually to Spring.
Awesome. Really nice. Like, okay, when it comes to Java, you said there's like a lot of tooling. Like, how hard is it to debug if you have like memory leaks? I know that the garbage collection is amazing. Do you have like profiles in Java? Tracing, how does like this observability, I want to debug something, how does it work?
Yeah, so you can even debug applications running on another server if you just open a port and do like port forwarding, no big deal. And used to like Visual VM, and there was another one, actually a colleague of mine were involved in the implementation, but I forgot how it's called. You can use the default debugger, which is also really nice. And with the Visual VM, you also like get a lot of stuff done. Flight Recorder, it's called. So with the Flight Recorder, you can also look into things like memory and garbage collection.
Nice.
And usually it gives you nice insights.
Awesome. I would just like to thank our sponsors. Which is Kaldi, Visionect, Human Frog, and Kufar. And I would also like to thank our amazing Patreons for helping us make this possible, like renting the cameras and helping us getting stuff, helping us record stuff so that I don't need to know everything about every single button on a camera. And also thanks for make it happen that we are here and we have a room and that we can record in this corner. Jens, I would like to thank you. It is amazing, like for a newbie, like I've been in the industry for 15 years, but I never dipped my toes into Java hot coffee, I guess. So yeah, thanks for your time and discussing the Java stuff, the distributions with me and the release cycle. And see you at the coffee break, which we need the live juice
urgently.
Yeah. Thanks a bunch.
Thanks also for being here.
Awesome.
Thanks.